Hello and welcome to Therian Nation. I'm Ulfraviv. This will be a question and answer video. I asked members of the community to send in their questions through various social media. That includes Amino, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, a couple Therian forums, and perhaps a couple places I forgot to mention. So this question and answer video will answer general questions about therianthropy, and there will be a second video where I answer more personal questions about myself and my own Therian experiences. For this video, I will try to answer your questions in as much detail as possible. I do have some notes with me that I will be referring to, so please bear with me. You might see me look down from time to time just to check my notes and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So let's get right into the video. Tails asked, can you be multiple types of Therians? Because of the way this question is worded, I think it could mean a couple different things, and I'll address both ways that I could interpret this question. Tails could be asking if they can have more than one theriocide, and yes, that's possible. So if a person has more than one theriocide, that's referred to as being a polytherian. This question could refer to experiencing one of the levels of integration, whether you're a standard therian, Suan therian, Vasilant therian, or a con therian, and then also being either a cladotherian and or a polytherian, so that's possible. So it's possible to be any one level of integration, or maybe you could even be something in between those, but generally people pick one of those that are closest to their experiences, and then you could be either a cladotherian, which is identifying not as a distinct species, but as the general family or genus in the scientific classification system. And then you could also still be a polytherian. Our next question comes from Fledge Kasune. I know that physical shifting is impossible, but could you talk about your opinions on it? I think this question could, I think it would take an entirely another video to answer this question completely. There have been many other members in the community who have written good responses about physical shifting and how it's impossible. So I'm going to refer you to Lupa's writing. It's called Why Physical Shifting is Bullocks. I will put a link to that in the description below the video or below the transcript for the video. A lot of Therians wish that we could shapeshift. We might imagine it or daydream about it, and yes, sometimes we do talk about it. We might ask ourselves or each other, you know, if you could change for a day, would you? Stuff like that. So I think asking the question like that and imagining it is not the same as believing in physical shifting, which is impossible. Scientifically has not been proven to be possible. So there's a difference there, and you just have to be aware of that. Lone Icon asked, what are your opinions on non-earthly identified people being able to call themselves Therians? The term theriomythic has been used since 2010, and before that we even had the term weremythic, which was used in alt.horror.werewolf since about 1996. So our community has really always had non-earth animal identified people interacting in it and being a part of it. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Some people just feel more comfortable sharing their experiences with Therians, and they feel more at home in our community, and I think that's perfectly fine. Austerians asked, what's your opinion on people constantly proposing new terms, such as ultrahuman, cameo type, and in the fiction kin community, there's a word now called subkin or subtype. Is it nice that people are creating new language, or is it just needless word salad? Austerian goes on to say that a subtype is a proposed term for a fictional kin type's kin type. Say if you were Harry Potter kin and remember being a deer Therian, but you don't presently identify as a deer, in that case the deer would be the subkin. In this case, I don't think subkin is a useful term. Being Therian and otherkin is about presently feeling something that you attribute to being non-human, or experiencing something that you think is outside of the normal range of human experiences that makes you feel non-human. So if you don't presently identify as that, then it's not related in any way, and I don't think there needs to be a term for it. I think alter human is a good term, and I've seen lots of people use it. My other thoughts on some of these terms is that even if it's a good term, because there's so many varied social media platforms now, even if it's a good term, I worry that it doesn't get spread around and used as much as it should. In some cases, if a term isn't good or isn't useful, you know, all these multiple social media platforms, you know, could be a good thing. But it really depends. You know, I guess a term is good if a lot of people find it useful, but just one person making a term and using it for themselves could be really confusing when other people try to talk to them about their experiences, and a lot of terms are being created that are very similar to terms that we already have, so they're not really useful. And so I think we have people doing that because they think they're going to have some fame or get some attention. So I think it's best to find a term that we already have that fits your experiences, if that's possible. Sunrise the Maned Wolf said, "Hi, I've been having phantom and mental shifts of a theriotype that I didn't know I had before. Could this be a cameo shift? Or could this be another theriotype that I have yet to discover? I have also seen the animal that I've had the shifts about in my meditations." So first of all, so if you don't know if you're just having cameo shifts or if it's actually a theriotype, I wouldn't call it a theriotype yet. Second of all, meditations aren't really for the purpose of finding theriotypes or identifying as them, and we really shouldn't be having any images or visions during meditations. Meditation is for the purpose of actually calming the mind and quieting the mind. So if you're seeing visions and images, then that's just your mind actually being busy and you're not actually accomplishing the purpose of meditation. But to answer whether or not these are cameo shifts or shifts of a new theriotype, that's really up to you to figure out. Finding another theriotype or identifying another theriotype is not any different from identifying your first theriotype, so just research is important. Maybe keep a journal, keep track of your experiences, be mindful of how you're feeling. I'm going to have some videos coming out soon about meditation that hopefully will explain that more, so just look for those. A member of the community who goes by Cookie Faith said, "Hi, I'm new to being a Therian. I don't really know what to do with research and stuff. I just took a bunch of quizzes, I had fox at the results, and there was also human. I'm still trying to take more quizzes to find advice because I don't know what to do. Can you help me find my Therian type?" First of all, quizzes are not a good way to find a Therian type. Quizzes are not in any way personal or unique to you. They're in no way connected to your subconscious or your inner self. Quizzes are just for entertainment and for fun, so I wouldn't put any value into the results that you get from those. Remember that therians and otherkin are still physically human. Therianthrope actually, if you break down the meaning of the words, the base words in therianthrope, it actually means animal-human. So our experiences are both. So really, I think you should ask yourself if you have experienced any therianthropic shifts. Have you felt non-human first before finding about the term or the community online? That can really help you make that decision. It's important to examine your own mindset and your behaviors and decide or attribute something maybe to be non-human? Is your mindset or instincts outside of what might be considered normal for a human being? You can ask yourself if behaviors or things that you experience, can they be attributed to only an animal? Can they be attributed to both a human and an animal? Or is it only something that a human would do? It's really up to you to examine your own experiences. This is self-examination or introspection, mindfulness. I would suggest to you to also keep a journal if that's possible. And it's really up to you to make that decision based on everything that you know about yourself and about therianthropy. I would start with learning the basics of therianthropy. If you don't know what the shifts are or any terms that are used in the community, it's really important to know some of that first as well. So yeah, I would start there. The Weird Place said in a comment that if you're having phantom shifts of different limbs from your regular theriotype, but you're not sure what the theriotype would be, are you considered a polytherian? I think I might have said this for one of the earlier questions, but finding a second theriotype, it's not really a different method from figuring out your first theriotype. You could be experiencing cameo shifts. We're not really sure why we experience cameo shifts. Humans are pretty empathetic creatures. Maybe you've been around horses recently, or horses and birds, so maybe you're just feeling horse-like right now. Humans also just experience a lot of random body phenomena that we're not sure about. So we don't even necessarily have to attribute some of these things to therianthropy at all. Yes, you could be a polytherian too. It's really up to you to make that decision. Again, I recommend maybe keeping a journal since these are happening repeatedly and have happened for a while. But I do know of some therians who had cameo shifts for years, but they still didn't consider that animal as part of their identity. So you can keep that in mind as well. So next I had a couple people ask me about Therian Packs and ranks in packs and how Therian Packs work. So first I'll tell you my personal experiences of packs. I don't have any since after my awakening. My only experience with the pack, if you could even call it that, probably not, is just pretending to be animals with my friends way back in elementary school. Sometimes we pretended to be dogs and horses or other animals. Sometimes we play fighted, but we had very little knowledge of any real animal behavior, and we were just kids having fun. I also want to note that I'm not in touch with those people any longer. However, I'm fairly certain that they are only human identified and they don't identify as anything else. So just because you and your friends have a Therian pack and you're pretending to be animals right now and you're young, it doesn't mean that all of your friends are going to keep that label or identity when they get older. So don't be upset with your friends if later they say, oh, I'm not that thing. Everybody has, you know, their own path through life, and everybody has different experiences. I feel like most Therian packs and human groups are nothing like real wolf packs or real groups of wild animals such as elephants or orcas or horses or flocks of birds. In the Therian community, one big difference is that Therian packs are usually formed by some of the youngest members in the community. Real animal packs and groups are led by middle-aged or the oldest individuals. The oldest individuals usually lead in the wild because they actually have the most life experience and the most knowledge of where to find food and water and other resources. They might also have the greatest knowledge of migration routes. So in the Therian community, when it's the youngest members who are creating these packs, they might not have very much knowledge of life experience or of therianthropy at all. So I think the focus on being in packs is probably a lot greater than it should be, because There's a lot of misinformation or no information at all about therianthropy being shared with everyone, and this can be causing incorrect information to be spread or no information at all. And I think this is contributing to the meaning of therianthropy being lost, perhaps. So again, in real wolf packs, it's usually middle-aged or older individuals who are leading the pack. It's because they have more experience with hunting. Usually they have hunting methods or techniques that keep them from being injured. That means that hunts can be more successful and there are fewer injuries. The pack is healthier that way. And usually elder members take care of the puppies at the rendezvous site. But I don't think roles or ranks are really set in stone as much as we think they are. And the concept of an alpha has been debunked by the various scientists who hypothesized it. Yeah, I'll try to find some links to that. I know there's a couple write-ups and some videos about the alpha being debunked. To be a good leader of a Therian group, I think you actually need to have some knowledge of modern therianthropy and what this identity means to people. If you know that it's strictly for roleplay and you aren't actually identifying as non-human, then just call it roleplay. So when you're sharing information about therianthropy to your friends, don't tell them that you're the only source for information. You actually need to let them be free to research on their own, go outside of the group for advice from others, because these groups are actually really isolating, I think, and so you need to let people be curious and explore other options. The people in your group need to be able to do research and figure out things on their own. A good leader is one who is honest with themselves. They are open and transparent about what they expect from themselves, and they are also open and transparent about what they expect of their group. Use diplomacy during all arguments. Make sure you get both sides of the argument, or both viewpoints. Don't play favorites with anyone. You want to treat everyone equally. A good leader is a role model of behavior. So I think most Therian packs are people who are still of school age. Maybe being a good role model means that you keep your grades up and you help everyone in your group study and also keep their grades up. Maybe you show them that you can get all your chores done that your family has asked you to, and maybe you can help them get their chores done if you need to. Leadership is service, volunteerism, and even sacrifice. You want to have a genuine connection to the people in your group, and you want to show them that you genuinely care about them. So it's going to take time to be with them. It's going to take time to help them. It's also can be mentally and emotionally draining sometimes to be the person that everyone leans on. So make sure that you're capable of doing that and putting yourself second if you're going to be a leader. Yeah, and people should look up to you for positive reasons, not because they're afraid of you or you're all like, oh, I'm going to jump on you if you don't follow me. People shouldn't be like worshiping you or anything like that. If people have ranks or roles in your pack or your group, then they should be doing it willingly and not because you're threatening them. There should be no monetary value given to the leader or no real services performed only for the leader's sake. All tasks should be performed for the betterment of everyone. As for Therian packs fighting, real wolf packs only fight because they might need more territory or more food or resources. So wolves fighting is kind of a life or death situation. Therian packs are usually have a territory in a public park or a public area. To be honest, there's no reason at all for Therian packs to be fighting. You should all be kind and nice and civil to each other and get along and share the space. You can play fight for fun if you want to. you know, in a way it could be good exercise, but fights should not be serious at all for any reason. Yeah, be civil to each other, be helpful to each other, and because fighting for territory in Therian Packs is kind of childish. So I hope that gives you a better idea of real packs and how to be a good leader in a Therian group. If you have any further questions, you can let me know. I'll try to answer them. Lee the Therian asked, why are there so many canine Therians? This question has probably been asked a few hundred times in the history of the community by now. It would take a whole nother video to go over all the hypotheses behind it. So maybe I will make another video about that in the future. But so many people have hypothesized about it and written about it. And there are other videos on YouTube about it. I think just doing a little bit of research will lead you to some answers. But I'm also going to link you down to a writing by Ella Knox titled Why So Many Wolves? So you can start there. And yeah, I really wish people would just take some time to search for answers that are already out there about this question, because we're really beating a dead horse at this point. Nix wanted to know, do you believe in things such as Plantkin, alienkin, and like me, zombiekin? Nix said, my zombie is from the future. Is this plausible to you? Well, I definitely believe that Plantkin is possible. Plants are living things. There's a lot of scientific evidence about how plants actually can communicate with each other in a way. I know of a couple Plantkin who have been in the community for quite some time. Wereplant is a term that was being used in alt.horror.werewolves in the early 1990s. We've also had other terms used such as greenkin and phytanthrope. I think there's a large universe out there, and there's a good possibility that there's life on other planets and in other places. I think alienkin is a possibility. So I think therianthropy and otherkinity is just, you know, it's an exploration of all of these different possibilities, and that's perfectly okay to be kind of outside the norm of what we consider a normal human identity. Nothing has been proven or disproved about what we believe at this point. However, it is important to remember that we are still physically human in this life. Our beliefs should not be used as escapism or to try to avoid functioning in human society. People such as intelligent aliens and divinekin, angels and demons, should not use that belief to be superior or act greater than everyone else, because we are still human. The concept of identifying as a zombie because that's your future self does honestly seem a little strange to me, and here's why. Usually the concept of a future self is one that is transcendent, or it's a higher self. And sometimes people believe that they can connect to this higher self, who is more like a guardian, to have some insight on how to improve their current life. There's not really much detail about your hypothesis for being a zombie in the future. Just remember that to identify as otherkin, you actually need to have something that's affecting your current experiences in this current life. Other than that, I don't think any of us should be throwing stones in a glass house, because all of us have unique beliefs and unique experiences that pertain to therianthropy and otherkinity. Dragon Rune said, what's the first thing a Therian otherkin should know when starting a YouTube channel around their identity? You need to be okay with receiving criticism about your beliefs or questions about your beliefs. You need to be okay with receiving criticism about the quality of the videos and the quality of the information that you present. You are likely to have your content taken and put into cringe compilations, so there's always that concern. You may also receive trolling or hateful comments from anti-kin or just people who choose to be ignorant and closed-minded. My suggestion for those is to just ignore them, and it's best to delete them instead of interact with them. So that concludes all of the general questions that I had about therianthropy. There will be a second video where I answer questions related to my more personal experiences of being a Therian. See you next time.